Good morning, Bian.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. So welcome to today's mock interview.
Thank you, sir.
Will you briefly introduce yourself?
So my name is Bian Singh and I belong to Rampraful town of district Bathinda in Punjab. I have done my graduation from IIT Roorkee in BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering. Currently, I am working as Senior Assistant in Department of Revenue, Government of Punjab.
Having studied at an IIT, you are now working as an assistant in the Department of Revenue.
Yes, sir.
Is that a good thing to happen?
Sir, actually, after graduation, I started preparing for civil services. And last year, due to lockdown, there was uncertainty about the exams, and I had this job in hand. So for financial independence, I joined this job. On other hand, I will also get exposure to the government sector. So that is why I joined this service last year.
No, but the question I'm wanting to ask you is
yes,
that why, how you could not manage a job connected with your area of education?
Sir, actually, I didn't sit for the placements, and after that, I have been constantly preparing for civil services. I haven't gone into the field connected to my subject as of now. I haven't tried for the job in that sector.
So that is my question. Why? My question is that you studied to be an engineer,
yes, sir.
And then you abandoned that career entirely. Why did you do it? That is what I'm trying to understand.
Yes. So during my engineering, I couldn't perform very well, and I didn't found my passion in engineering, and so that is why I selected civil services as my career option to try. And
so, do you think the civil services is your passion now?
Yes, sir. It has been my passion right from starting, and but before that, I wanted to secure my career first, so I went into IITs, and so civil services means I have seen my father working as a revenue patwari, and his exposure means inclined me towards civil services right from childhood, and I wanted to be in the administrative sector.
All right. Your subject, optional subject is geography.
Yes, sir.
So, which are the physiographic regions of India?
So, India has majorly four physiographic regions. First is the Himalayan region, western and eastern side. Then is the plain region of Ganga, Indo-Gangetic plains. And then we have peninsular plateau. And fourth is the coastal regions that we have.
But you said six. You have named only four.
I said four.
How many physiographic regions India has? That's my question.
Yes, sir. So four regions. First is the Himalayan regions, Indo-Gangetic plains, Deccan plateau, and coastal plain areas.
My dear friend, you have forgotten all about the desert. You have also forgotten all about the islands. Two important parts of India, Indian geography, you have completely forgotten.
Sorry, sir, I missed those regions.
Am I wrong or am I right?
Yes, sir. I have missed the desert and the island regions.
Yeah, these are very important. And since geography is your optional subject,
yes,
you
sir.
ought to know about it. Yes, which is the longest river of India?
Sir, I'm not aware.
Okay. Do you know which is the southernmost point of India?
Sir, Indira Point.
Which is where?
Sir, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the southernmost.
Which island?
Sir, I'm not.
Which is the largest lake of India?
The largest river?
Lake.
Lake. No, sir.
And our borders, do you know how many miles do we have of borders with other countries? international borders that India has?
So, with China, we have around 3,500 kilometers, and
doesn't matter.
Yes.
Now, let us shift to current affairs. What exactly is happening in Afghanistan?
Sir, after the withdrawal of US forces in the Afghanistan, the Taliban has been resurgent and occupying many territories and districts.
What is Taliban? You have to go step by step, and please speak slowly. You are going too fast.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Speak slowly, and when you are speaking to a interviewer, you should take it that he knows nothing of the question that he has asked. So you say Taliban. I don't know what Taliban is. So please explain to me what is Taliban, what is the situation in Afghanistan, and how it is changing. Don't assume that I know about this, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, Taliban has been a terrorist group and has occupied power in Afghanistan previously. After that, there was interference by the US forces to dethrone the Taliban government and set up a democratic government over there in Afghanistan. And they have been fighting this war for past 20 years, but they were unable to succeed and are now withdrawing from that area. After that, the Talibani group, which were earlier very fundamentalist in nature, and is now again has been resurgent and has been occupying many territories. And the US withdrew after the setting up of Afghan peace talks with Afghan government and Taliban in between Taliban and Afghan government. But they promised that there won't be any violence, and recently there has been many incidents of violence and occurring in those areas, and simultaneously peace talks have also started, and so we are hopeful for us.
You haven't told me what is Taliban. What does the term Taliban mean?
Sir, I'm unaware about the term.
Okay. Do you think that the changing situation in Afghanistan should worry us, should worry India?
Sir, if we look into the past when the Taliban government was in power, there was resurgence in militancy in Jammu and Kashmir region. And we also have many investments in Afghanistan, and our links have not been very much with the Taliban groups. And so thirdly, for the connectivity towards Central Asia, Afghanistan is strategically very important to us. So I think it should be a worry for us that there should be a stable government in Afghanistan, and also the democratic principles are held over there. So I think it's a worry for us. And yes.
Okay, good. Rajiv ji?
Hello, Bian.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Okay, firstly, I would like to ask you about you are from Barnala.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pardon?
Sir, I was born in Barnala, but I'm
born in Barnala. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So you are born somewhere. You belong to that place forever.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. And Barnala would be proud. That city would be, that place would be proud to have you. Always say that you belong to Barnala.
Yes.
Now, when was Barnala formed, and what are the main industries in Barnala?
So, Barnala as a district means means I'm not able to collect the exact year, but it was formed district recently in past means. And the main industries are the textile industries over there. That is Trident Group is there, and other is the agricultural based industries. There are due to the agriculture rich region. So these are the two industries.
What is Mission Tandurust in Punjab?
So Mission Tandurust was launched for the fitter Punjab, and there is rise in incidence of non-communicable diseases in Punjab also, and along with it, drug problems are also there, and and the food safety has also been not very good. That rise of pesticides in foods, etc. So the overall comprehensive action plan has been launched from Mission Tandurust Punjab to deal with all these aspects and aim for a fitter Punjab.
Yeah, say something more about this interesting place. I mean, something about history, or the Sikh historians have mentioned this place in there, and something more about the geography or some uniqueness about Barnala. Just very briefly, in about 15-20 seconds.
So Barnala was established by Maharaja Ala Singh of Patiala Union, and historically Surjit Singh Barnala belonged. He was a prominent politician who belonged to this region, and
okay, that's okay. Let's go to another part of your interview. You've given IFS at number 2 of your choice for the services. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So, can you say what the Open Sky Treaty is? What is an Open Sky Treaty?
Sir, haven't heard of the term.
Okay. What is the Raisina Dialogue?
Means I'm not able. I'm able to partially.
Yeah, please make an attempt.
Yes, so it was Raisina Dialogue was to promote peace in Afghanistan and West Asian region.
Okay, so we go to another area now. What was the Group of 7?
So G7 is group of developed nations, and primarily led by the US, United States, and it aims to
Okay, was it ever called the Group of 8?
Yes, sir. Initially, Russia was the part of the G7 group, but it was removed after.
What did it do to be, shown the door?
Yes, sir. So I think it was annexation of Crimea. I'm not able to remember currently.
2014.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Now, tell me, the Extradition Act, is it adequately equipped to secure the extradition of violators of of the Indian laws?
So we have treaties with some of the nations for the extradition, but the judicial process in those nations also sometimes delays the process. For example, in Mehul Choksi case or the Vijay Mallya case, and so I think we need to refine those extradition treaties with these nations so that there is low judicial interference in such cases, and the process is speedier and faster to bring the violators to the country.
Some more components of the Extradition Act, for instance, who can make a request to another country for extraditing a particular person? Some more substance into it. Okay, so yeah, if you were to become the foreign secretary of this our country one day, then how would you handle a meeting with your Chinese counterpart? What would be the issues that you would bring up on board, and how would you handle it? A meeting, a formal meeting. Just think over how a meeting is to be organized and how you would do it.
So first, I will identify the major issues and conflicts that are between the two countries. So the first point would be to setting up a framework for settling the boundary disputes that have always been the major conflict between these two countries. Along with that, I will strive to put forward that the economic relations of the two countries should not be affected by the conflicts on the border regions, and so that would be a second motive. And third would be to build a relationship so that both countries can together portray a the power of Asia in the world. And so, because if the powers of both the countries are synergized, and so we can become a major power all over the world and can promote good governance, global governance internationally.
How would you handle the Rohingya embargo, that problem that we are facing there?
Sir, the Rohingya problem of the refugees from Myanmar, I think first will be to provide those who have crossed the border to provide safe shelter and not force them back to the Myanmar into their back to their country. Secondly, it would be the wrapping up the intelligence there, and so that no militant activities or some radical groups in among that refugees are not filtering into our border. So that would be the focus of the intelligence groups over there. And third would be to talk with the military over there and building pressure, international pressure, talking with other countries and building international pressure on the army, etc., to not means to uphold the democratic principles in that country. So,
where are democratic principles in China?
It's in Myanmar region.
But would you also engage some stakeholders, other stakeholders?
Yes, sir.
Other stakeholders also are to be taken on board, no? That is
Yes,
how
sir.
you will handle the situation in Rohingya. Which
Yes,
are the
sir.
other stakeholders?
So, for example, United Nations and US, France, the countries which are have a, means good rapport for the human rights, etc. So, I will be linking those countries and building pressure over the Myanmar region, Myanmar army, as well as the previous. Now we don't have a government over there, but the Myanmar army to force
Yeah.
human rights.
Okay, what do you know about the diaspora? The diaspora, Indian diaspora.
So Indian diaspora are the people who are living in foreign countries and working over there. We have major diasporas in United States, Canada, and United Kingdom, that is Britain, England, and it has been quite influential in portraying our soft power in those countries and building good links with the locals of those regions and portraying the Indian soft power over there. So.
Was there what is the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas? When is it sort of celebrated? When is it held?
Sir, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is held when Mahatma Gandhi ji came into India in 1914. So exact day I'm unable to recall.
No, but about the diaspora, can you say something more? The NRIs, I mean the NRIs and the OCI, the merger of the of their in which year? Then I mean that sort of thing. How much remittances is coming from them? As an IFS officer, I would expect you to give more details on these areas.
Yes, sir. So India is a major recipient of the remittances from the foreign countries, especially West Asia and US. So the NRIs has been contributing towards the foreign exchange reserves for that. And secondly, they also now have they can also they have a political power in those countries, and they also can influence the policies of those nations towards India, and that is the second point. There have been some areas where I think their cooperation was, for example, if we relate it to Punjab, recently there has been a lot of support for the farm issues from even the Canadian Prime Minister. And so I think those are the causes of worry too, because there can be some interference from the outside countries in the internal issues of the country.
Okay. Can you briefly say what are the what should be India's concern in the foreign policy? Which are the areas that we should be handling very deftly, which are causing concern?
So first would be balancing of the relations, especially between the, we have recently tilted towards US, but I think the focus should be on balancing between US, Russia, etc. Second focus would be the Indo-Pacific region, uh, 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 and especially the security or safe of the and stopping the militarization of the Indian Ocean. So that would be the main concern. Third would be the worry about China, Pakistan, and the Russia axis. The relations have been growing with Russia and between Russia and Pakistan also. So that should be the worry about of India.
Okay, thank you, Riaz. Arvind Mohan Saab.
Yes. So good morning, Ben Singh.
Good morning, sir.
You belong to Punjab. Punjab was considered to be the most prosperous state of India.
Yes.
Having the highest per capita income.
Yes, sir.
So what is the status now? Where does it stand now?
Sir, it has come around in 13th rank in per capita income, and it is decreasing year by year.
What are the reasons behind this decline?
So if we see the growth after 1980s, it was primarily pushed by the agricultural growth in the Punjab. But in recent years, the growth has become stagnant. And along with it, the industries in Punjab industrial growth has not picked up in Punjab. So the transformation from agriculture to industrial economy hasn't been there. And thirdly, the subsidized, for example, power subsidies, industry subsidies, etc., are very much high in Punjab, and we are not able to focus on the social parameters because of those. So in human development also we have for example, drug problems, etc. Healthcare has also crippled. So I think overall the fiscal balance of Punjab is also not very good.
Now, how has this GST affected the revenues of states and particularly Punjab?
So first was the for example, Punjab used to impose mandi taxes, etc. Those have been kept in 0% slab of the GST. So those revenues have declined. Secondly, Punjab was primarily consumption state, and so they were expecting that the revenues will show up because GST is destination based test, but that hasn't happened in Punjab. So, and thirdly, the industry of Punjab itself is not very well developed. So there is not much tax from those areas also. So overall, the revenues haven't showed up very much.
Okay. Now, India is overall power surplus nation now.
Yes, sir.
But Punjab is facing a severe power problem.
Yes, sir.
What is the reason? Why can't Punjab take it? Because so much of electricity is already available.
So first was the delay in the monsoon, and their demand shot up very high. There is very change in the demand in Punjab in the paddy season, and in winter seasons the demand goes to about 8,000 megawatts. In this season it is around 13,000 megawatts, and so this is the first reason that the demand got very high during past 10-15 days. Secondly, the transmission capacity of Punjab is around 12,000 megawatts only, whereas the demand was around above 13,000 megawatts. So even if we buy the power from other states, it doesn't have capacity to transmit that power. Thirdly, the purchase power agreements that Punjab has with some power plants, there was no safety clause, for example, providing power at the means constantly and without any the responsibility of means those power companies was not ensured in those power purchase agreements. So due to because recently many private power plants have got are not working properly, so that was also the reason that the power was not available in Punjab.
The power not being produced locally is okay, but you can procure from the national grid, but Punjab is not able to do it.
Yes, sir.
And You were talking about paddy cultivation.
Yes.
That it is faces very high demands on power.
Yes.
Now, it has been pointed out by several agriculturists that paddy is a crop not suitable for Punjab. So, what are the crops suitable for Punjab? As a geography student, could you tell me?
So if we see initially, Punjab was the crops that were suited was bajra, millet, pulses, etc. And since rice is a very water intensive crop, and we don't have that much monsoon, and primarily it is dependent on the groundwater. So that is why we are there is problem of groundwater shortage in Punjab, and so I think we should go towards the crops that are not that much water intensive. So those are millets, bajra, pulses, and in the horticulture sector, oranges, we have a very good production of oranges, etc. in fruit crops. So I think we can shift towards those crops.
Now there is a agitation going on against farm laws. It is mainly led by farmers from Punjab.
Yes,
Although some other states are also there, but mainly the impetus is from Punjab.
yes,
Why? What's the reason?
First major reason will be, I think, the MSP procurement has been, most of the MSP procurement has been in Punjab and Haryana region only, and farmers are feeling that the MSP will be gone, and also the infrastructure of APMCs and the set is linkage is very strong of the farmers of Punjab and Haryana with the APMCs, and so they have fears that the production the APMCs will get abolished in time. So these are the two major reasons, I think.
Has the government done something to assuage these feelings of the farmers?
So the talks have been going on between farmer unions, and it has agreed to amend some clauses. But the major, I think, issue is the legal backing of the MSP that the farmers are demanding, and they want that the law should be repealed totally. And I think there is hardening of the positions on the both sides. And
okay, what prevents government from having MSP as a law?
I think if we see the introduction of MSP, it was just to protect the farmers against the price drops, and so it was not that the government was agreeing that we will be buying the whole produce at the MSPs. And so I think if we make it a law, the government will be legally bound to procure all the crops at the MSP prices, and that will create a fiscal burden on the government. So that is why I think they're not preferring to make it a legal clause in that case.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So your interview is over. Now we'll start with the feedbacks.
Okay.
So Raisa.
Okay, Bihan.
Yes.
First on your delivery on how you deliver. There are too many halts by saying, so I mean, it's not, I mean, it's a manner of speaking, so I really can't fault you on that, but there is a way of doing away with this. I mean, you can at least minimize it. You know how? You first, when you get a question, you think about it. You think as to what you are going to say. That will minimize. So once you have formulated in your mind as to what you are going to deliver, then this, the chances of saying that will minimize.
Yes.
And it will bring a good effect to your answer. The way, I mean, you have the contents, but just the delivery, some corrections have to be made. Okay. Now on the content part, mostly you are accurate on most of the. But let me just point out one or two. For instance, on Barnala, two important points that you could have mentioned. I mean, it's not that you said anything wrong. You did say about Trident Industries and not Trident, but there's a Rameshwaram stone over there.
Okay.
Do you know that? Nathwala Dera. It's a very unique sort of, it's floating on the water. I mean, just a matter of curiosity. So the board will, feel that, okay, you are tuned, you are glued to the place. Number one. Number two, the name of Karan Singh, Mr. Karan Singh, that should have been mentioned. He was the first living recipient of Paramveer Chakra. So that's a very unique sort of thing. So if you say that way, it will show as if how much passionate you are about your place. Okay. Two more things. On the Rayasena dialogue,
Yes, sir.
when I asked you, you should have just, given some, because the nature, the complexion of it is an annual geopolitical and geo-economic event organized by the MEA, Ministry of External Affairs. That much also is good enough. See, you given IFS as choice number 2. So
yes,
on the foreign that area of the foreign policy, you cannot miss out anything.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so just do a bit of more of reading on this.
Okay.
Then on the extradition treaty, Extradition Act 1962 should also have been mentioned. Number 1. Number 2, extradition request can be made only by the Ministry of External Affairs.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Number 2. Number 3, no request for extradition can be made on political or military offenses. You can't say that this fellow has made a political statement, so he should be extradited.
Okay.
I mean, these are areas you should know because we are in the thick of it.
Yes,
we are doing extradition. We are pursuing for so many of the offenders of Indian laws.
Yes, sir.
So that is one. The last diaspora in 2015, we had this OCI, the Overseas Citizens of India, and the persons of Indian origin. They were all merged.
Yes.
So now it has a huge catchment area. Number 1. Number 2, I asked you about the remittances. See, why I'm saying this is that on foreign policy, everything related to our foreign policy, you should be perfect on your as much information that you can gather. You should.
Yes.
And now the remittances are almost $80 billion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Most of our diaspora, most of these people are in the US, second in the UAE. West Asia. You rightly said that, but I'm just pointedly. Okay, then it was on the 9th of January 1915. You mentioned the year, but I think you said 1914.
Yes, sir.
It is 9 January 1915. That's all right.
Okay.
Just factual errors, it should not matter much. But just so that you make it a perfect.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, see, organizing of a meeting. There you should have ideally said how you go about. You read the past minutes of the meetings. That is how you organize a meeting. You first read through the past minutes of the meetings. That is how you get a focus area as to what to do, what not to do also. Okay. And then you draw the agenda, you draw the stakeholders list, and that is how you progress. You draw the minutes. Everything follows, but you first get to know everything about it only by drawing the past minutes of the meetings.
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, you are all right. I'm happy. Bian. Arvind Mohan Saab?
Yes. Okay, Mr. Bian Singh, the answers you gave, they were correct.
Okay.
Mostly, you were knowing the things.
Yes.
Only problem is that you have to be careful about the way you answer.
Okay.
So, some of the problem points I am mentioning.
Yes, sir.
You started by saying, good morning, everyone. Now, that is not the way you are going to address the board during your actual interview. Chairman sir will explain to you how that is to be done. He will tell you in detail.
Okay.
Then you have to speak a bit slowly, at a slower pace.
Yes.
Then you made some statements like, I did not find passion in engineering. Now, you spent 4 years or 5 years of your career, life,
yes, sir,
at a very premier institute.
Yes,
and to make this kind of a statement after that. So, why you are shifting to IS, you can have other reasons also rather than saying that you did not find passion in engineering. Okay.
Yes.
And another thing you said was, your father impressed you from childhood and you wanted to be in administrative role.
Yes.
Now, had that been your goal right from your childhood, why at all did you go for engineering?
Yes.
There is a contradiction.
Yes,
so you have to be aware of these contradictions and take care of these contradictions while you are answering.
Yes.
You should not be answering something in the interview just off the cuff. These are dangerous things.
Yes.
Okay. And at one time you said, dethroned the Taliban government. Now the term dethrone is used for a king, not for government.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And a very sweeping statement you made was, we have tilted towards USA and we should maintain balance with Russia. Now that balance with Russia and USA is a very old thing. It's
Yes.
gone now.
Okay.
We are moving from a bipolar world to a, I would say, unipolar world.
Yes, sir.
China is coming up, but we have serious differences with China.
Yes, sir.
So going to or getting closer to USA is our necessity.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
you have to appreciate these things, and at the same time be careful about, because such statements can land you into a problem in your interview.
Okay.
Anybody might pick it up and start tearing you apart.
Okay.
So be very careful about the statements that you are making in an interview.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So be careful. You know the subject. In your answer, be very, very careful. What is asked, you restrict yourself to what is being asked. Don't go beyond that.
Okay.
And the moment you try to go beyond that, you are making this kind of statements. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Just be careful.
Okay.
So over to Chairman, sir, for his views.
When is your interview?
So 17th August.
So less than a month you have.
Yes, sir.
But there is still plenty of time.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I hope you know the drill of how to enter into the interview room.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the drill?
Yes, sir.
Have you attended earlier talks?
Yes, sir. I have also attended a PCS interview last year, this year also, last month, and last year also.
This is your second interview call.
No, sir. PCS, Punjab PCS interview.
PCS, okay.
Yes, sir.
Of course, then you know you have to knock softly, open the door,
okay,
and say, "May I come in?"
Okay.
And then close the door behind you.
Okay, sir.
And stand close to the chair, and not bend down, or not. Some people put their hand on the chest, or they put it in front, or relaxed way, your hands along your side, and you first wish the chairperson.
Okay.
If the chairperson is a man, then you say, "Good morning, sir," and then wish the other people.
Okay.
In all likelihood, there will be a lady on the board, so you wish her separately.
Okay.
If the lady is the chairperson, then you first wish her, "Good morning, madam," and then, "Good morning, sirs." Okay.
Okay.
So, and then wait till you are asked to be seated. Do not go quickly sit down. They will say, "Please sit down, Bayan."
Okay.
Then only you sit down. Be very careful about this drill.
Okay.
Do not rush to sit down unless you are asked to sit down.
Okay.
That shows that you are not well mannered. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So this is very important. Second thing is, of course, you will be wearing a suit with a tie. I hope that is clear.
Yes.
Last year PCS, did you wear a suit?
No, sir. Means with a tie, pen shirt with a tie, formal shirt.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, even that will do. But ideally, if you wear a suit, it will give you confidence.
Okay.
And it gives the impression that you have taken the interview a little seriously.
Okay.
Ideally, we would have expected you to come in the dress that you would have worn the final day, so that we could have given you some corrections.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Now, first tell me, what is your own assessment of your performance today?
So I think need to work on the detailed application form details, for example, related to Barnala and geography optional. So those are the two major problems. Secondly, I instantly start answering and get answer very fast, and so it might show anxiousness or nervousness. So I think I should start working on that. So these are two areas I need to work on.
My sense is that even in your day-to-day conversation, you speak very fast.
Yes, sir.
That is a weakness that most of us have, but that weakness can be corrected, right?
Yes, sir.
So from today till your interview board,
Yes, sir.
remind yourself you are speaking too fast,
Okay.
that I have to speak slowly.
Okay, sir.
The advantage is when you speak slowly, you
Yes.
get more time to think.
Yes, sir.
And you get more time to articulate different words separately and correctly, right? If you
Yes, sir.
speak fast, one word will merge into the other,
Yes, sir.
and neither the first word nor the second word is
Yes.
understood by the.
Yes, sir.
So, as a technique of good communication for the rest of your life,
Yes.
it is always better to speak slowly. But this habit will not go in a hurry.
Yes,
You
sir.
have to work on it,
Yes, sir.
because you have developed it naturally. So
Yes.
speak slowly so that you are understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Practice it. It
Okay.
can be improved. Many people have improved,
Yes.
and this is a very common failure, or shall I say, failing in our way of speaking.
Okay.
So learn to speak slowly and speaking every word separately, right?
Yes, sir.
The second thing is, yes, your subject, for instance, geography needs a lot of working on. I mean, to miss out on things like Thar Desert and islands was
Yes,
serious
sir.
error.
Yes.
Now, one problem that you have is that you have given Indian Foreign Service as your second option.
Yes, sir.
So the interview board will expect you to know a lot about foreign relations. So, despite my asking you again and again,
Yes.
you could not put Afghanistan in a perspective,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
When
sir.
you are answering your question, you have to put things in a perspective. You cannot say US has withdrawn forces and there is there are terrorists, and no. To give a blanket judgment on Taliban as terrorists may not be right. Maybe in the years to come, Taliban may be the government in Afghanistan, right?
Yes.
Maybe we
Yes,
have
sir.
to deal with them at a diplomatic level.
Yes,
Maybe
sir.
we have to recognize them.
Yes, sir.
So, since your foreign service is your second option, you have to show more maturity of mind while talking about international relations, so that you understand the dynamics of. So, I would recommend to you that there are not more than, say, 20 topics
Yes, sir.
which a question will be asked. Afghanistan is a very likely look east policy, act east policy. Then China.
Yes,
China will be asked. Then Israel and Palestine.
Yes, sir.
They have also been in the news. You must read that.
Okay.
Then, changing relationship between US and USSR, Russia,
Yes.
between US and China. Yes, you should also study about how USSR disintegrated and became Russia. What happened to the other, what was the evolution? There are not more than 20 topics, let me assure you.
Yes, sir.
That you may be part of. You can, anyone who is prepared for the IAS knows what those 20 topics are. You can make those topics, make short notes. Okay. Otherwise, you have a very pleasant presence, very pleasant personality, good, deposition. So you will be successful, and I'm sure you will come out with flying colors. But you should prepare yourself a little more. Right?
Yes.
So there's nothing wrong with your disposition, nothing wrong with your personality. All you need to brush up on your.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All the best.
Okay.
All the best, Beyond.
All the best, Mr. Ben.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes. Thank you.